Good morning. I'd like to call to order the open meeting for Thursday, September 12th, 2024. I will now ask the Commission Secretary for information on today's agenda.
Each commissioner has independently reviewed the minutes of the open meeting of Thursday, September 5th, 2024, and each has informed me there is no need to discuss the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes of the open meeting of Thursday, September 5th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Each commissioner has independently reviewed the agenda, and each has informed me there is no need to discuss the notices associated with agenda items 2 through 8, the draft order associated with agenda item 9, the suggested minute associated with agenda item 10, directing commission staff to open a docket to consider all or part of the declaratory ruling request and/or alternative relief, and directing that a notice of proceeding is to be signed by the Secretary of the Commission, and that Commission staff and the administrative law judge work with Superior Water, Light, and Power to establish the process and schedule for this docket, and, if necessary, convene a pre-hearing conference. Or the suggested minute associated with agenda item 11, approving WEPCO's proposed dedicated renewable energy resource pilot program contract conditioned on the applicant accepting the proposed accounting treatment or providing their own to the commission. Commissioner Nieto is recused from agenda item 12. Chairperson Strand and Commissioner Hawkins have informed me there is no need to discuss the suggested minute associated with agenda item 12, directing the issuance of a final decision on reopening, modifying the previous final decision, declining to grant any declaratory ruling.
I move we approve the notices of investigation associated with agenda items 2 through 5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move we approve the notices of proceeding associated with agenda items 6 through 8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. In docket 4440 CW 104, I move we approve the draft order for limited reopening notice and request for comments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
In docket 5820 DR 100, I move we open a docket to consider the declaratory ruling request as described by the Commission Secretary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. In docket 6630 TE 111, I move we approve WEPCO's proposed DRER contract conditioned on the applicant accepting the accounting treatment proposed in the Commission memo.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And in docket 9300 DR 106, I move that we direct the issuance of a final decision on reopening and modifying the final decision to decline to grant a declaratory ruling.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those abstaining?
Aye.
So that now brings us to agenda item 13, which is docket 5 CPF 2024, the Capital Project Fund Digital Connectivity Program Awards. The Capital Projects Fund provides federal funding to states for critical capital projects that enable work, education, and health monitoring in response to the COVID-19 public health emergency. In support of those priorities, the CPF Digital Connectivity and Navigators Grant Program includes $33 million for deployment of computing devices, installation of Wi-Fi equipment in targeted multi-dwelling units, and the provision of digital navigation services to assist with use of devices and Wi-Fi for work, education, and health monitoring activities. Under Governor Evers' leadership, Wisconsin is using these funds to further bridge the digital divide in our state. The awards approved today will support the acquisition and use of computers and Wi-Fi equipment to provide device access and digital literacy. Guidance from the U.S. Department of the Treasury established specific capital project eligibility criteria, which are outlined in our commission memo. The Commission received 17 grant applications requesting a total of $33,432,800 in funding. A 3-member review panel evaluated the eligibility and merit of each application and assigned a merit score across each of the categories in the scoring rubric provided in the grant application instructions. The Commission and its subrecipients are required to comply with the Treasury eligibility criteria to receive federal funds, and the review panel did identify 2 applications with eligibility issues. In application number 836, the proposed devices are limited to use for academic purposes, which does not meet the Treasury's requirements of use to enable all 3 activities: education, work, and health monitoring. Also, the applicant's proposal to make digital navigator services available to any student is not consistent with requirements that navigator services are provided specifically to device recipients. In application number 837, devices are loaned for only a short period of time for purposes that do not clearly meet all three requirements. Further, while navigator services are required to be provided specifically for device recipients, there wasn't a clear description of how newly trained navigators would assist recipients of loan devices to make use of them in this application. So this brings us to our first decision point, which is about the program eligibility of these two applications. I do appreciate the work and recommendations of the review panel and understand why these applications could be deemed ineligible for grant awards because they arguably do not comply with Treasury requirements for the program. However, at this time, I don't believe it's necessary or relevant to address their eligibility, primarily due to my upcoming position on merit evaluations, in which these two applications do not score high enough for an award. So this puts me at alternative 3, take note of the eligibility concerns, but find it is not necessary to address eligibility at this time because it doesn't impact my merit award position. Commissioner Nieto?
Thank you, Chair Strand. I'd be in the same place on eligibility for the same reason. My funding decision won't require me to make a decision on eligibility at this time.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hawkins?
And I am in the same place as the two of you.
Thank you. Okay, we only have one other decision item to discuss then, with a couple different options. So moving on to the merit evaluation component of the grant applications. The review panel used the rubric provided in the application instructions to score each of the 17 applications received. The commission received many high-quality applications, and I appreciate the time and effort that went into planning and developing them. Echoing our discussion regarding eligibility, the commission must comply with federal requirements in administering these funds. Treasury guidance identified specific scoring preferences and encouraged states to give priority to applications that included those components. As described in the memo, informed by these Treasury requirements and preferences, the application instructions established a scoring rubric equaling a total of 100 points. I appreciate the work of the evaluation team to sift through the application details and analyze the various components of the plans and how they should be scored based on the rubric. The review panel did discover that 2 applications listed certain project activities that include some costs that are likely ineligible, and the panel recommends modifications to these projects to align with Treasury requirements. Given these concerns, the commission has the option to amend project award amounts to remove likely ineligible costs or to issue the award for the full amount requested, but make the award conditioned on providing updated information that remedies the likely ineligible cost issues. In application number 840, there are activities that are ineligible under the grant program requirements because they are not associated with the devices deployed. And in application 843, the review panel noted that the applicant's proposal includes hiring a digital health navigator to use health monitoring devices such as pacemakers, pulse oximeters, and glucometers, and under the program requirements, these devices are not eligible. The grant award alternatives provided in our memo include options on how to address these 2 applications, and I will discuss my position on those as part of our broader grant awards discussion. In our memo, the alternatives for awarding funds reflect an attempt to balance applicant diversity and to apply funding towards communities and populations with the highest needs. Under Alternative 1, funding would be awarded to the 11 applications with the highest merit scores. Here, these 11 top-scoring applications separated themselves in establishing demonstrable value and the potential to provide significant direct benefits to underconnected Wisconsinites. I support this alternative because these projects received the highest scores and were most strongly aligned with program goals and priorities. These were quality applications that include initiatives and effectively address internet adoption and affordability through both device deployment and multi-dwelling unit Wi-Fi. It is important to fund both types of projects, and these will absolutely do that. The projects are high impact and will meet the stated goals of the program. I am not in favor of including the lower scoring projects ranked 12 through 17 and included in Alternative 2 for several reasons, including that the number of households reached is low for the cost in some of the proposals. Project plans were underdeveloped, budgets lacked detail, which made it difficult to assess the impact of the applications, and the lower scoring applications lacked evidence of relationships with intended recipients of the program and lacked evidence of local engagement with partners and target populations. The 2 applications with cost issues are included in the top 11 from Alternative 1, and I do support this inclusion. In terms of how to address the ineligible cost issue, I'm in favor of awarding the grants at slightly reduced amounts to reflect the upfront elimination of these ineligible costs. This puts me at subalternative A to Alternative 1. I do think it's important to bring these applications into alignment with Treasury guidelines as soon as possible. This approach does not jeopardize the other aspects of their applications, and it allows us to expeditiously move forward with funding awards to deploy these programs and services to Wisconsinites with the highest needs quickly. Again, this approach is cleaner and more appropriately timed than fully funding the two projects first and attempting to remedy ineligible costs later in the grant award process. And the amounts reduced are very small portions of their overall requested amounts. So to restate, for this one, I'm at alternative 1, subalternative A for this decision item, and I look forward to hearing from my colleagues on this. Commissioner Nieto?
Great, thank you, Chair Strand. So I, similarly to some of your opening remarks around these awards, I do want to say thanks to the applicants for their hard work designing these projects. I was really glad to see the two applications with the multi-dwelling units included as well, Bayfield County and Walnut Way. And like you said, one of those is one of these that we have the alternatives around how much to include in the award amount. I also wanted to give a shout out to our team here. I'm really excited to see this program come to fruition, and it's one of a smaller handful of programs of this nature that's ready and out and launching in the country. And we have members of our broadband team who have special expertise in digital connectivity and who've been recognized nationally on this level. So these are exciting projects on the part of the applicants and great work on part of our team here. I'm generally aligned with you. I came into the discussion at alternative 1 and during the grant agreement curing process saying, you know, with that delta of funds that can't be used to these specific line items, can you use them towards the line items that are eligible? That said, I'm open to alternative 1, sub-alternative A as well, also for the reasons you stated. I'm fine with that, so I can join you there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very much. Commissioner Hawkins?
Thanks. Yeah, I similarly came in at alternative 1 just to allow the chance to identify potential other opportunities to reuse those funds. As the chair noted, they are small amounts, and so I think there could be some flexibility in working with staff to try to reallocate those to allowable uses. So I'm also flexible and could do the sub-alternative. I would be interested if there's concerns from either of you on the administrative burden of following alternative 1, just that curing, how long that would take, and if that would be problematic. In my eyes, it didn't seem to be too much of a lift, but interested if there's strong feelings there.
So in speaking with staff in our briefings, I think that the thought there was, again, that it's a little cleaner and more appropriately timed to eliminate it now because some of those costs that are likely ineligible are probably not salvageable. And so taking it kind of off the table now, again, to your point, I think the Bayfield original amount requested was 1.3 million, and it would only go down by less than $1 million to 1,226,000. And then for the Northwestern Wisconsin Workforce Investment Board, it would be a difference between 946,257 to 723,545. And again, I think prioritizing the amounts that we know are within compliance of Treasury guidelines up front just makes us more nimble in terms of getting these things executed and out. I think, not to muddy the waters, but there are other grant programs where we've had some more flexibility on the back end, but I don't think that those included this kind of like hard and fast Treasury guideline approach that we want to make sure that we're complying with quickly. So those were my reasonings for getting to sub-alt A rather than just alt 1 and then trying to cure after the fact.
Yeah, I was thinking about it on pretty similar lines too. I was thinking about the OEI programs, and I think just overall my thoughts on this are where we can as an agency. I think we've trended toward aligning the grant programs, the process that we use, kind of the look and the feel and the brand. So do we give opportunities to cure? And I think what we've done is we've taken a nuanced approach, also depending on how sophisticated the applicants are, and maybe given a little bit more wiggle room, and depending on what federal guidelines we're under and those types of things. And I think this one kind of struck in the middle for me. You know, the applicants are a little bit more sophisticated than some of the other ones that we've given a little more of that wiggle room to. We have a little bit firmer treasury guidelines here. On the other side, I thought if we did do the opportunity to cure, we could still swing it, but I don't know that I saw it as essential as I did in, I guess, the OEI, like Rural Energy Startup Program, for example.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing I would add there, because you did ask about workload, and I should have addressed that as well. I think the fact that, you know, throughout the analysis process by the review panel, there was a lot of, ensuring compliance, and the fact that they have already identified what those questionable costs are, the amounts, and how it would impact the grants, shows that a lot of that legwork has already been done. So again, I think doing it up front, I don't think it would, I think actually doing it on the back end might create more work, trying to get those things either out or into compliance, rather than just kind of starting with this reduced amount and going from there in terms of the execution process. And I think, like Commissioner Nacho said as well, I was thinking of that one and one other project where, like, curing after the fact could actually add to the benefits of the project by, I'm thinking of like straggler locations and other things we've done regarding that, rather than, again, non-compliance costs that will actually, be removed from the grant award. So I think there's a difference there too in terms of the timing. Thank you.
That's very helpful, and thank you for the additional discussion, so.
Okay, I think we're probably ready for a motion then.
Thank you. And Commissioner Hawkins, are you joining on the Alt 1 without the Sub-Alt, or are you staying at Sub-Alt A for your vote there?
I'll go to the Sub-Alt A.
And I was at Alt A. In docket 5 CPF 2024, I move that we award the Capital Projects Fund Digital Connectivity and Navigators Program grants as discussed here today.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That does conclude our official business for today. Our next open meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 19th, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we stand adjourned until Thursday, September 19, 2024 at 10:30 a.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.